Welcome, everyone. Today, we have a truly phenomenal cultural moment to break down. We're looking at the historic takeover of the Mojave stage at Coachella 2026. And let's be real for a second, right? Conquering that scorching California desert heat is hard enough, let alone dominating one of the world's most notoriously difficult music festivals. But, well, that's exactly what happened here. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and look at the anatomy of this incredible milestone. We're going to use the data, the set lists, and the behind-the-scenes production notes to see exactly how this whole thing was built from the ground up.
Right off the bat, we are talking about a massive historical first. Aiah, Colet, Maloi, Gwen, Stacey, Mikha, Jhoanna, and Sheena, they didn't just show up to the desert, you know. They arrived and completely shattered the glass ceiling for OPM, or Original Filipino Music. Being the first ever all-Filipino group to perform at Coachella, that is a statement that echoes way beyond the festival grounds. According to the reporting we're looking at, the Mojave tent was absolutely packed, literally transformed into a sea of fans from all over the globe, waving Philippine flags and BINI light sticks. It was an arrival in the truest sense of the word.
To really get how this unfolded, let's walk through this rapid timeline from April 2026. See, this wasn't just a weekend event, it was a multi-week global campaign. Look at April 8th. The hype was already boiling over, hitting maximum search interest before a single note was even sung. That built incredible momentum leading directly into April 10th, which was their Weekend 1 debut. But what fascinates me the most as we track this journey is April 17th. Weekend 2 wasn't just a repeat, no way. It was a total evolution. So let's break down exactly what happened across these dates, starting with that initial explosive weekend.
Section 1. Weekend 1. The global debut. You know, when you have the entire world watching, your initial blueprint needs to be rock solid. And their strategic set list for that initial 45-minute desert debut, absolutely spot on. They packed 10 songs into a super high-octane set. They opened with Shagidi, which just set this immediate commanding tone. Then they layered in massive crowd favorites. We're talking Carrera and Salomon Salomon. But here's the really brilliant strategic move, the inclusion of Blush. By using the Coachella stage for the very first global live debut of their new English single, they perfectly blended their deeply rooted P-pop identity with a deliberate, confident push for mainstream international appeal.
And that brings us to the massive importance of the Signals era. Their latest EP, which features that English single Blush, well, it's not just a collection of songs. It's a calculated, strategic launchpad. Coachella served as the ultimate global platform to cement this specific musical era into a true worldwide movement. Basically, they used the massive visibility of the festival to broadcast their evolution to the entire planet. Talk about a power move.
Section 2. Weekend 2. Siren Energy.
For a lot of artists, honestly, just surviving the immense pressure of Weekend 1 is enough to put the second weekend on autopilot. But BINI, they completely flipped the script. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast between the two shows. For Weekend 1, we had the debut of Blush, the bold Shagidi opening, and what sources described as striking gold warrior looks. But then, for Weekend 2, they introduced an ethereal opening featuring the track Strings, and they completely transformed the stage visually by debuting these custom teal siren-inspired outfits. This wasn't just a simple wardrobe change, it was a structural and visual reimagining of their entire set, proving their immense versatility.
And you know, this level of reinvention takes meticulous behind-the-scenes work. That ethereal strings opening wasn't just the studio track played over loudspeakers. Nope, it was a custom arrangement developed closely with musical arrangers Choi Padilla and Errol Apostle. Highlighting this detail really shows us the sheer level of musical craftsmanship involved here. They elevated that Weekend 2 opening, treating the Coachella audience to a totally unique, tailor-made sonic experience.
But amidst all this high-level production and global strategy, they never lost their core identity. Listen to these quotes from the stage, "Hey!" and "Uy, Philippines." And this brilliantly illustrates how they managed to bring authentic Pinoy humor and undeniable local pride directly to an international crowd. They didn't dilute who they were to fit the global stage, right? Instead, they made the global stage adapt to them. It's exactly that balance of world-class polish and unapologetic authenticity that makes this such a compelling case study.
Section 3. By the numbers. Quantifying the hype.
So we've talked a lot about the subjective magic of the stage production, the outfits, the set list, but let's actually look at the hard data to prove the scale of their global impact. 100. That is a perfect score on global Google Trends. On April 8th, literally 2 days before they even stepped foot on the Mojave stage, the search term BINI Coachella hit this absolute peak.
This proves definitively that their appearance wasn't just, discovered by the crowd at the festival. The entire world was actively seeking them out in anticipation.
And if we track that global search interest, the narrative becomes incredibly clear. You start with the baseline pre-announcement, and then boom, that massive spike to 100 on April 8th. But honestly, the most crucial part of this data isn't just the peak. It's the sustained interest post-performance. The world didn't just search for them once and move on. The performance captured their attention for real, and the data shows that the global audience stayed heavily engaged long after the festival ended.
We can see that sustained interest directly reflected in the digital aftermath too. The official Coachella YouTube highlights for their performances of Pantropiko and Blush quickly pulled in millions of views. I mean, they were featured right alongside the biggest global acts in the world, and their digital footprint proved they absolutely belonged in that top-tier company. The live event was really just the catalyst for a massive, ongoing online viewership.
Section 4. The P-pop ripple effect.
So, what does all this data, all this hype, and this flawless execution actually mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, the core takeaway here is that this Coachella performance successfully proved that P-pop is not merely a local or regional trend anymore. It has been completely validated as a worldwide movement. BINI took the regional popularity of their genre, amplified it through the Signals era, and literally transformed it into a global cultural force, one that commands millions of views and perfect search trend scores.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question. With a highly anticipated world tour on the horizon, was this historic Coachella debut their ultimate peak? Or was it just the opening act? I guess we'll have to keep an eye on their next move to find out. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the anatomy of this incredible milestone. And as always, keep learning.